remember one time sitting at a Shabbaton at a weekend retreat. The rabbi was speaking about, many classes. The rabbi was speaking about faith and challenge and life. And a man raised his hand and said, "Well, what if you can't handle the challenges that God gives you? What if they're too much?" And he tells a story, and clearly the man was struggling. And the rabbi, without missing a beat, said, "What if I could take you right now to Jerusalem, to the Western Wall? And back of the Western Wall, they found a room that is filled with divine presence. And I can get you in. And you get a few minutes in there. And when you get in there, you hear God's voice, and God says, 'So-and-so, I gave you this challenge. You can do it.'" The man says, "Well, if God tells me I can do it, I can do it. But, God ain't talking to me." This week's parsha opens up in a very interesting way. We're talking about Avraham, who just had a bris milah. He's sitting at the edge of his tent, and God reveals himself to him. Now, if you're writing the story, you would write, God reveals himself to Avraham. It's the beginning of a parsha. It's the first line of a story, right? God speaks to Avraham. It doesn't say that. It says, Vayera Elav Hashem be'elonei mamrei. God reveals himself to him. V'hu yoshev pesach ha'oel kechol mayam. And he is sitting at the front of his tent in the middle of the day. Wait a second. That's not how you write a paragraph in the beginning of a book. I was talking to him, and then I saw him. And who's him? Start with the noun. Tell me who you're talking to. It should say, God appeared to Avraham, and he was sitting at the front of the gate, at his tent. Not God appeared to him, and he was sitting in the tent. Why don't you say that you're talking to Avraham? What's the double him? What's the vagueness? So Rav Nachum from Chernobyl says something beautiful. You know why? Because God didn't want you to think that he only talks to Avraham. God doesn't want you to think that he appears to Avrahams. Him. A regular. Anyone could be a him or a her. God appears to him. To all of us. Not just to the Avrahams. Whatever we're going through in life, the challenges that God puts in front of us, the thoughts that are within us, the moments of inspiration that we feel inside us, we make a mistake in thinking that's me. I don't know what he wants. But if he told me, that's one thing, but he doesn't talk to me. No. Rav Nachum from Chernobyl says he does. The circumstances that are put in front of you, the thoughts that are within you, the inspiration that you feel from within you, those are divine sparks, those are divine communications. God wouldn't give it to you if he couldn't get you through it. God wouldn't inspire you if he wasn't speaking to you. And when a person goes through life, they have to realize that God doesn't just talk to the Abrahams of the world. He talks to all his kids. Doesn't speak in English, maybe. He speaks in circumstance. He speaks in feelings. He speaks in other people's advice. But he's constantly guiding me and talking to me. Vayera Elav Hashem. God speaks to him. Who? To every him in the world. To every her in the world. This isn't easy. When you look at your life and say, I am worthy of the world adapting to me. Olam niver b'shvili. That means God would not give me a circumstance or a scenario that he didn't want me to do or go through. God wouldn't hand me things that weren't designed for me. When you live your life this way, you live in the middle of a conversation with the divine. That's how Avraham lived. And we're his children. That's how each of us can live every day as well.